آمدی؟ بشی بعد از درسم راحت گپ میزنم.
اینا برکتم میده.
تشکر. تشکر. میری چی کنم؟
این کار است که شما دادین.
تا حالا کجا بودی؟ یه کار خانگی تو به وقتش بیار.
میال اسمال میکنین؟
چی فکر میکنی؟
من میخوایم ببینم تو کدام.
والا وقت میایی باز میخوای که من کار خانگی تو اول ببینم؟ بسیار پرتوقع هستی. میخوای معطل باشی باش. میخوای معطل باشی؟
Good evening and welcome to another episode of WestViews, broadcasting live from Tri-C West Television Studio in Cleveland, Ohio. You just seen a clip from a film titled Heal that was screened at 34 Cleveland International Film Festival that picked up 2 awards. With me tonight I have a great privilege to introduce a writer, director and filmmaker from Pakistan, Mia Adnan Ahmad. Welcome to Cleveland.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
How do you feel here? It's very different than Pakistan.
No, I mean it's in terms of the city and everything, it's pretty similar. But where I am in Islamabad, it's not as cold as it is here. Like I was surprised to see snow when I came, because over there snow is usually more like in the hilly areas, so it doesn't snow in Islamabad as such. So it was a little cold, but it's nice. It's a nice town. A lot of friendly people. It's good to be here.
The reason you are here is to attend the Cleveland International Film Festival, where it had the port premiere of your short film Heal, a very powerful story, and I was amazed to see some audience members crying after the screening. Can you tell me more about this film? What's this film about, and how did you come up with this idea? Is this something that you had in mind for a long time, or you were just inspired by some recent events?
It was our final year thesis film at Chapman University. I went there to do my graduate program in film. So the story basically started in the first screenwriting class that we had for short scripts, and it was something I wrote back then. And as a filmmaker, I always had an interest to do a story about someone with a special gift, almost like a story about a superhero. The way the things were at the time in Pakistan, Afghanistan, or even just like in the world in general, I wanted the gift to be such a gift that, you know, something that people can benefit from. And that's where the supernatural aspect of the character having the ability to heal came in. And but as coming from Pakistan, each year that I was in the US, the situation there kept getting worse. And because initially in the story we had the option to put the boy maybe in some place in the US. Even I think Katrina happened in the same time frame, and we're thinking maybe it's a character set over there. But at the end I decided that if any place needs healing, it would be a place that's in conflict. And since I had some awareness about what destruction can do to children, that I met at the relief camps, and that sort of gave me a glimpse of what, you know, devastation and all has an effect on. So I think that came for me as an eye-opening to tell the story.
How did you go about production design? Besides amazing cinematography, production design is something that's very, very unusual, because the film actually was shot in Southern California, and everything that takes place in the story is Afghanistan/Pakistan. How did you go about production design? Because I assume you had some problems, because shooting this story in Southern California is not something that's done on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, it was a challenge. It was, when we started, I mean, we knew that it was an ambitious project, and we were lucky to have a really talented production designer, Project Daghag. From India. So she also had a little bit of awareness about, you know, the way the culture is, and the setting and everything. So I was lucky to have someone from India in the school at the time. And so she was the production designer, and she went all out, like all the key creative people in the team. and I worked as closely as I could with her to make sure that I could, transfer whatever
Yes.
knowledge I had. And we also got a lot of support from the local Afghan Pakistan communities. We got some donations in terms of wardrobe and everything, because at the end of the day, the only thing that would make the film look authentic would be,
Yes.
the actors and also the set dressing and everything.
Exactly, and it works very well. It's
Thank you.
very realistic, and everybody who watches this film thinks it's actually shot on location in Afghanistan or Pakistan. So it proves that production design worked very well. I would like also to point out an international aspect of this production, because I believe about 50 or 60% of your crew members are foreign students and people from around the world, especially your key creative crew. You had an amazing cinematographer from Spain. His name is Dani Sanchez Lopez, and he actually worked with you on a couple other projects. And Prajakta Gag from India, production designer, great editor from Japan, Yukako Shimada. Your producer was Markus Metsala from Finland, and numerous other key creative people. Music was done by a Finnish composer, I believe.
Thomas Kantelinen.
Yes, and plus your cast is primarily people and actors who live in California, but they all have backgrounds from different countries in Asia. How did you go about casting this project?
Well, that was one of the toughest things in pre-production, other than getting the script completed, was to get the cast, because in our case we needed kids who could speak the language, and obviously we couldn't shoot the film back home. Initially I was trying to do that, but the committee at school obviously didn't feel that it would be appropriate or safe to go there. So the kids, we basically had to go to the communities, give out flyers at the schools, at the mosques, at whatever different gatherings where we felt that the community would be living or people would be in the area. We spread the word, and then different people, sort of by word of mouth, came and contacted us, and we had a small pool of people who came, but luckily we found the people that we were looking for. So the kids, even we had some kids who could speak Farsi, some kids couldn't, but then the ones that could speak Farsi, we sort of worked with them to get the dialect improved as much as we could. And I think, and like throughout the process, it just seemed that wherever we felt that a door was closing, another one opened, and it just kind of worked out.
And little boy who plays Azim, his name is Amir. I have a hard time pronouncing his last name, but he's amazing in this film, and I believe that was his first role. Am I right?
Yep, it's his first role, and it's also the girl who plays Amal, Hana Sher. It's her first role
as well.
Yep, both of them, it was their first film, and they did a great job. I mean, with the subject matter and also how they responded to everything. Because obviously, I mean, on set to be there for the time and for doing it the first time.
Yes.
For such a film, I thought we were really lucky, and also that they did a good job.
Yes. Besides great children cast, you had the one actor. His name is Navid Negaban, and he's an established actor in Los Angeles. He's been on several TV shows, most notably Sleeper Cell and 24. Actually, he just finished several episodes for 2010 series of 24. How did you go about approaching Navid Negaban? Because he's a professional actor, and this is a film that doesn't have a budget, and everybody who worked because of labor of love. How did you approach Navid, and how did he respond to come on your crew?
Well, I met Navid the first time when they were screening his film, The Stoning of Soraya, at Chapman University.
Stoning of Soraya, an amazing film, yes.
And he, like, in that his performance, I mean, it's a darker role, and but he was someone who could speak Farsi, and he had, a natural talent to act. So we approached him at the time, but I didn't know whether he'd be interested or not. So later on, when the script was completed and we were about to start casting, I got in touch with him again, and he, from day one, wanted to help. He was really helpful, and he said, I'll help you in whatever way I can. But he couldn't confirm whether he could commit to the project, because obviously he's a busy actor. He's got a lot of work, and but at the end I just said, asked him if we could just meet in person, and he agreed to do that. So I went and met him where we could meet, and we spoke for just like a few minutes, and then he agreed to do the role. So I think maybe he was convinced that whether where I'm going with the story, or maybe by meeting me he got a better idea of the type of person I am. But he committed, and after committing to the project, I mean, his passion and commitment for the whole film is really amazing, because he came, he used to do stuff, go out of his way. He also helped give a lot of advice, and even on set, he used to, his efforts were 120%. He would do stuff which I sometimes felt, were dangerous, but that's just the way he works as an actor.
I had a chance to see your previous short film called Maggie's Heart. There is something similar that can connect Maggie's Heart and Heal. It's this supernatural concept that you feature in both films. Tell me more about this concept. Is that something you are very interested to explore in different stories? And are you going to explore this concept in your feature film in the future?
Yeah, the last two projects which I've done have this kind of supernatural or spiritual thing about it. But it is definitely a genre which I am interested in exploring, and also, bringing my own kind of thing about it to the table. But I'm open to working in other sort of, genres as well. Different, yeah. I mean, like supernatural is one of the ones that I feel, connected with, and something that I want to explore. But and these are the ones which are the more of the major films which I've done so far.
Yes.
But I've done other stuff like the documentary or
yes,
the
tell me more
short
about
film.
the documentary that you shot prior to coming to the United States. It was done on Pakistani earthquake, I believe. Can you tell me more about that project?
Basically, it was a project as part of a thing with the British Council. They had this Beyond Borders project, and they wanted to do a documentary on their program where they reach out to different schools and help the kids. But at the same time, the earthquake had just happened, and I wanted to sort of bring light to that matter as well. So with their approval, I sort of documented some footage from the different camps. And it was an overwhelming experience in terms of seeing what I saw, and especially with the kids. So I think in a way it's good that I went through that process, because as filmmakers, when you're aware of something, then you can highlight it. And when I saw it, I was more attuned to seeing how, even though the circumstances were pretty, bleak, the kids still had this desire to want to study and learn.
So this natural disaster opened your eyes, and you got an idea and incorporated actually some of the elements.
Because you read about it in the news all the time, but when you go and physically see, it's different, because then you're physically seeing the person or the kid
suffering and
it's just. But the thing was that even through the suffering, something which stayed with me was their hunger for education. Because there was this, I remember this girl, her name was Rifat Bibi. She was 8 years old, and she was at the relief camp over there. She'd lost her parents, her family, but there was like some uncle of hers that was taking care of her, but she was suffering from blood vomiting. And very pretty, very cute little girl. And I asked her, what is it, what would you want? And she said she wants a school book to read. And then she said, I said, what kind of school book do you want? So she said, I want a coloring book, or I want a book in English. I don't know if she could read English, but like that shows, and she came from a village, and even though she was in a situation where she'd lost her family, when I said, what do you want? She said, I want a book. And it's, the funny thing is that in the urban areas, like in the cities, if you ask, children, what do you want? They might say something like, some techno gizmo gadget or something. Whereas in the rural areas where the facilities are less, their desire to learn is even more. Which is why I think it's important that that they get education.
On numerous occasions, the characters mention the importance of education beyond all this destruction that they encounter, because that's probably something that will save these people in the future.
I don't want it to sound preachy, but it's just that from what you see, one can understand that this is something which is important for them, and this is also in a way a distraction from the conflict that they are in. Because when you breathe and live the situation every day, education is one thing which distracts you from that, and also is a way that you may be able to get out.
Can you tell me more about your background as a filmmaker? When and what point in your life did you feel that you gonna pursue this career? Because I believe your 4-year degree is in IT, something completely different, not in filmmaking. At one point of your life, you said, I'm going to be a film director?
Like when I was around 9 or 10, I might have sort of got that interest developed because my father had his VHS camera he'd got in those days, and my elder brother used to use that a lot. So that's how I got interested in shooting stuff. And I think the first film, I mean, when I saw, which sort of got me thinking about how they did what they did, to make certain things possible, was Back to the Future.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's, I think, yeah, when I was young, when I saw that film and the whole concept of it, I used to start, asking questions about visual effects and how everything is done. And that led to me doing my first little small documentary on visual effects. And I think I was 10 or something at the time, but it was all on VHS, very sloppy. But, I just did, by using the VCR, we did dubbed and everything. But that was when I started, and then I just kept doing stuff with the camera, with my brother. We did a lot of, dubbing over family videos with music and all that. And then eventually, there were some grants I got in between for, like, from the Commonwealth and different, wherever I got an opportunity to make a film, I did. And then I did my undergrad in IT. Like, my parents were supportive of, my desire to make films, and they appreciated everything I did. But obviously, they wanted me to have a career and be able to have
a real job.
To have exactly like something stable. And in Pakistan, film was not developed at the time. Television now is booming. Film is still, pretty bad, in pretty bad shape. But once I got the scholarship, then I was like, look, hey, I have my degree, I've done the job. So they also saw that I did whatever I had to do to get, the conventional, boring thing out of the way. But then, since I got the scholarship, I had the freedom to go on my own and pursue this. And they, they said, sure, go ahead. And now I'm glad that,
Yes,
that
they realized the potential, obviously. And now, after completing some short films and winning some awards, obviously you proved that you have a future in this.
And they're probably my biggest supporters. Like, they usually, they're always calling and asking, and, they're very supportive of. Because they were also supportive before, but now that I've done it and I've committed myself to it, so they sort of encourage.
Yes. You mentioned Back to the Future, Bob Zemeckis film. Any other names, any other influences when it comes to film directors, known film directors or films?
That's a good question, because there's so many good films. So I don't like. It'll be easy to say, to pick a few names, but there's so many filmmakers, even filmmakers who maybe I've seen something on television. It's a film, I don't even know what the name of the film is or who the director is, but a scene may inspire me or give me a certain direction.
Exactly.
But when I was young, I'd say it was Back to the Future, which got me going. But then there's so many other films along the way which have sort of stayed in my mind, and which sort of maybe can be something which I can relate with and say that, okay, maybe I can work or maybe do something similar to that.
Besides short films that you directed music videos for a band called Morton Fisbach and the Jokers, band from Pakistan. And at the end of this show, we'll have a chance to see this music video. Tell me more about music videos. Is that something that you will do in the future, or this is just something that came along and you decided to direct?
I'd love to do music videos, but it all depends on the song. Because the filmmaking on its own is such a personal process that you commit yourself so much into it. So it has to be something, at least for me, something that I feel strongly about, or something that motivates me or inspires me. So if it's a good song and I feel that I can give something, contribute to the video, then I would do it. Otherwise, it isn't something that I would just do for the sake of doing it. But if there's a song, because the beauty about music videos is it gives you a lot of freedom to express yourself freely. You don't have to be very conventional.
Yes. You can go more in an artistic way.
You can like anything. Anything is possible, and. But the driving force has to be the song for me. Like, if it's a song, it could be any kind of song, but if it's a song which I really sort of connect with, I would love to do music videos, but based on the song.
What would you recommend to some young people and students who just entering filmmaking right now, or considering to become filmmakers? What would be your advice after being in this field for the last several years and producing some short films? What would you tell to someone who decides, well, I'm not going to go into IT, I'm not going to go into medical field or law field, I want to be a filmmaker? What would be your advice to somebody like that?
I think, I mean, as a filmmaker, I still have a lot to learn, but if one thing which I've seen is that if you want to do something, it should come from the heart. And if somebody wants to really, pursue filmmaking as a career, I think they'll find a way to do it. Because some people just, are fascinated by film and they just want to be filmmakers because it's, the in thing to be. But, or it sort of gives them this freedom or artistic thing. But it's not easy. Filmmaking is amazing. It's a thrill.
Yes.
I think it's one of the greatest professions in the world, because it physically, emotionally drains you. But if you get close to achieving what you really want to achieve, it's like the most satisfying field there is. But I would tell them the same thing, that, they can try it out and pursue it if they really want to pursue it. Because if they don't really want to pursue it, then they'll regret it after some time.
And it's such a collaborative effort. You have to be ready to work with people, with different kinds of people. Everybody has to be on the same page in order to make a successful production. Because sometimes you'll have this conflict between key creatives, personnel. Everybody wants to do it in a different way. But at the end, unless everybody pulls off together, you're not going to be able to finish this production.
It's very true.
Yes, yes. Were there any moment in your experience when you worked on Hill, for example, that you had some problems and with some personnel and conflict of ideas, and how did you handle those situations?
Well, the beautiful thing, and I'm grateful for this, was that in Hill we didn't have a situation where the key creatives had any, I mean, obviously there were challenges and we discussed them. And we had our agreements and disagreements, but we always knew that this is the film that we want to make, and we did everything that we had to do to make that possible. And everybody worked really hard. Like what you said, it's a collaborative process.
Yes.
I mean, there's no way you can do something, at least at that level, at that scale, on your own. And from the producer to the DP, the editor, the production designer, everybody, I think we gelled really well, like when I met them one-on-one and also as a team when they worked with each other. And I'm really sort of, appreciate that everybody put in so much effort and it shows. But I never had that. I mean, it has happened in the past maybe, but usually what we do is, like, if you sense that, you sort of, just either you work with someone else or you're professional about it and focus on the project and say, this is the project, what is uniting us.
Exactly.
We have creative differences, but obviously at the end I feel, even if I'm working for somebody else, if I'm working for some other director or if someone's working for me, I think it's good to get everybody's ideas, but at the end you have to trust the vision of the director.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's just everybody wants to make a different film. It's not that one is good or bad, but if you have a certain director, then you want to obviously make the film that he wants to make.
Well, at the end, I just want to point out that I'm glad that you chose Cleveland to be a world premiere for The Hill, and I'm sure you will have so many screenings around the world, because this is just the beginning, and you will win more awards, and we expect a lot from you in the future. And at the end, I just want to thank you for coming to our show, coming to our town, and bringing this great film to us.
No, thank you for having me. It's great to be in Cleveland, and I hope that I can come again, hopefully next year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching another episode of WestViews, and see you next time.
Burning all the stubble, the tomfools do as they may, torching the living dead. Oh man, I gotta get away. So I entrust upon you, woman, to lock the door, close the gate. By the gallows tree I must wait. Sun's almost out, they're running in late. Tie a ribbon round this oak tree and tell me what I've done. Oh, sing me those Louisiana blues and let me burn in the sun. The hounds of hell, they call my name. The ropes are hanging, I can feel the flame. this wide blue sky. I'd ask for forgiveness, you know, but my faith has gone dry. Oh, don't feel sorry for me, for this foolhardy for man. Of all flowers not all blossom, I am what makes the sand.
The hounds of hell, they come my name. The ropes ahead.